Every election cycle, we hear all about how pivotal decisions are being made that affect our daily lives. But here's the kicker: your voice is only as loud as your voter registration. Being absolutely certain about your status is literally the first step to shaping those outcomes. So, I have to ask, will your voice actually be heard this election? Taking just a couple of minutes today to verify your status ensures you are not the one turned away at the polls when it matters most. It's really about empowering yourself, owning your civic duty, and knowing for a fact that you are 100% ready for Election Day. Okay, here's our quick roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover why registration matters, how to check your status, alternative ways to verify, how to troubleshoot if things look wrong, ensuring your info is accurate, and finally, where to go for official support. All right, jumping right into Section 1, why voter registration matters, the absolute foundation of your vote. So, keeping your registration updated in Florida is huge, mainly because your current address dictates exactly which local races you can vote in, and your party affiliation decides your primary ballot. Now, if you follow Florida elections, you've definitely heard the phrase book closing. It sounds like some intense legal jargon, but it's really just the strict deadline to register to vote. By Florida law, that is exactly 29 days before an election. Miss that window, and there's no way you're voting in that specific election. To put that into perspective, take a look at this timeline for the 2026 elections. The primary book closing hits on July 20th for the August 18th primary, but the absolutely crucial date you need to circle on your calendar, the general election book closing on October 5th, 2026. Your registration has to be entirely finalized by that day if you want to cast a ballot on November 3rd. And that 29-day deadline is especially critical for primaries because Florida is a closed primary state. What does that mean? It means only registered party members can vote for their party's candidates in a primary. So if you're thinking about switching parties to vote in a specific primary, you've got to make that update before that exact same 29-day book closing deadline. Moving on to Section 2, checking your registration status, specifically using the online portal. Let's get super practical here and look at how you actually verify your record using the Department of State's official lookup tool. Before you even start typing your name into the portal, you're going to hit a legal disclaimer. It cites Florida statutes, and it's there to remind everyone that it is a literal criminal offense to knowingly mess with someone else's voter file. Because this operates under such strict rules, you have to explicitly check a box confirming you are only looking up your own personal data. But once you agree to those terms, the whole thing is incredibly straightforward. Step 1, check that legal agreement box. Step 2, type in your first and last name and make sure it matches your official registration exactly. Step 3, pop in your date of birth. Hit submit and boom. It'll pull up your active status, show you your polling place, and even let you track a vote by mail ballot. All right, Section 3, alternative verification methods. Basically, your offline options. So, what happens if the state portal is down? Or honestly, you just prefer talking to a real human being? Well, you have a couple of options. Instead of the statewide online lookup, you can just contact your local county supervisor of elections. Florida has 67 counties, and every single one has a dedicated supervisor running the show locally. You can call them up or walk right into their office. I actually highly recommend this if you have a complicated situation that a simple online form just isn't going to fix. If you do go the old school route and call or visit them, just make sure you're prepared. Bring a valid state-issued ID, know your exact current legal address, and hey, if you recently moved, definitely have your old address ready so they can track down your file. Oh, and if you recently got married or legally changed your name, bring the official paperwork for that too. Section 4, troubleshooting and updating info. How to fix any discrepancies you might find. Let's say you check your status and, your address is from 5 years ago, or maybe your record is just missing entirely. You need to know how to process an update. You've got two main paths. Doing it online at registertovoteflorida.gov requires a Florida driver's license or state ID, and you'll need the specific issue date printed on the card, plus the last 4 of your social. If you don't have those, you have to use the physical paper form, Form DS-DE39. You can fill it out on your computer, sure, but you have to print it, sign it with real ink, and then mail or hand deliver it to your local office. And listen, you'll want to knock out these updates immediately if you go through major life events, things like moving to a totally new county in Florida, changing your name, wanting to swap parties before a primary, or, and this is super important if you vote by mail, if your everyday signature has changed over the years and you need to update it so it matches their records. Actually, real quick aside on privacy, because I know people worry about this. Under Florida law, voter info is largely public record. However, if you work in a high-risk profession, we're talking law enforcement, firefighters, judges, or post-9/11 military service members, you are eligible for public records exemptions. This legally shields your address and identifying details from the public. You just have to submit a formal request to your supervisor of elections to get that lock put on your file. Section 5. Ensuring registration accuracy and how to stay active. Here's the thing. Registering once when you're 18 isn't a set-it-and-forget-it deal. You have to proactively keep your status active. The state does this thing called list maintenance to clean up the massive voter rolls. Basically, if official election mail sent to your house bounces back, or if you completely ghost the polls and stop voting for years, you can be flagged as inactive. And inactive voters who don't respond to warning notices or skip subsequent elections, they are eventually wiped from the voter rolls entirely. So, to make absolutely sure that never happens to you, just follow these 3 best practices. Step 1. Check your status months before an election. Please don't wait for book closing week when the election offices are completely slammed. Step 2. Update your registration the minute you move. And Step 3, the easiest one, just vote. Showing up and participating is literally the simplest way to tell the state your registration is active, accurate, and good to go. Which brings us to Section 6, Official Resources and Support. Where to turn when you need help. If you're a first-time voter, a brand new Florida resident, or you just need hand navigating all of this, it really helps to know who actually does what. The system is split up. The State Division of Elections handles the big picture, statewide policies, the big data, and managing the main website. But your local county supervisor of elections, they are your boots on the ground. They handle the local voting process, set up your polling places, send out your mail ballots, and they are the ones you call to troubleshoot local issues. Now, there are some really fantastic safety nets in place. If you totally miss that 29-day book closing deadline we talked about, Florida law actually allows for late registration right up until 5 p.m. the Friday before an election, but only for specific groups. This is for folks recently discharged from the uniformed services, returning from an active military deployment, or separating from overseas employment. If that's you, contact your local supervisor of elections immediately to use this exception. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with this. Have you verified your voter status ahead of the October 5th book closing? Taking the time to lock in a verified, accurate registration means taking absolute control of your civic voice. Don't let a typo on your address or an accidental inactive status silence you on Election Day. Go check your status today. Just one last thing before we go. A quick disclaimer. The information presented in this explainer is accurate as of August 26, 2026. But as we all know, election laws, deadlines, and policies can always evolve. So please, always verify the specifics with official Florida state sources or your local supervisor of elections just to be sure. Thanks so much for joining me today. Now get out there, check your status, and let your voice be heard.